always cold, and I have like this.
I will call the meeting to order. Please, if you are willing and able, stand for the regular meeting of Wednesday, June 4th.
I move that we approve the minutes of the regular meeting Wednesday, June 4th, 2025.
Second.
Oh, Heather.
Go ahead.
Heather.
That was like,
We're ready. We're ready.
any conversation, any changes?
No, well
Looks
done.
great.
Perfect.
Yeah, okay.
Same.
Great.
She's awesome.
Yeah, she is.
Okay, all in favor? 5-0. Okay. And now, I will, we'll move on to the election of board officers, and I will entertain a consideration and action to nominate a board chair.
I nominate Joe Long for board chair.
Second?
Jen, Lisa. Okay, any other nominations? All in favor?
All right, I'll
4
vote for
0,
myself.
5
There you go.
I'll vote for myself.
So now we have Mr. Long elected as our board chair again. Thank
Thank
you.
Thank
And I will
you.
hand over the
I
gavel.
thank my fellow board members for their confidence once again.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
Forgot to step back again. Okay, next order of business is to nominate a board vice chair.
I move to nominate a vice board chair. Jen Darian, thank you.
I'll second.
Any other nominations? All in favor? That's 5-0.
Thank you. Thanks, Heather.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you both.
Thank you both.
Next order of business is to do our committee assignments for the year. I want to take a few minutes to do this. Kate, by the way, I did reach out to her as she was boarding her flight to find out if she had any preferences, and she said, whatever you need from me, so.
Okay.
So there's some
She's
flexibility
free
there.
now, so
Yep.
this is great.
There's one thing I do want to point out. I have for some time now been signing the warrants, which is an exercise that happens down at the central office periodically. Our board bylaws require that the person who signs the warrants be a member of the FNF committee.
Yeah.
And I am perfectly willing to continue doing that. So I'm interested in and willing to stay on FNF as one of mine.
Oh, great. Oh, so you don't mind signing the
I don't.
papers? Okay.
I don't, it's actually an interesting exercise. So we have 4 committees, and I believe we each get assigned to 3, right?
Correct.
So that no committee has more than 3 members, so we don't have a quorum
Wait.
problem.
Wait a minute.
Two.
Two each.
Two each?
Two each.
Two
Yeah,
each would
two
be
each.
12.
I apologize.
then
Three
You're right.
members,
I
two
apologize. It is
committees.
2 each.
Yeah.
It is 2 each.
So can we just?
Preferences?
I mean, I'm just like partial to finance and
Yes.
facilities and negotiations
for
due to,
finance.
to just because of the time and I vested in the last.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So we need a 3rd person for FNF. That's something that Kate has done this past year.
Yeah. I nominate Kate.
Yes.
So we're going to keep FNF the way it was. Okay. Now, I would love to get back on policy. I've been off policy for a couple of cycles now.
Okay.
Yes.
But that would mean displacing somebody who's on policy.
I've been on it for a while, and I do love it, but I would relinquish to you if anyone else feels strongly about staying on it.
I'm good
Happy.
to stay on. It's working, works with my schedule, and I enjoy it.
Okay.
I'm happy to stay
So
on.
if you're
too.
okay
Okay.
to switch.
Yeah.
then You're such a great voice, though.
Okay, so that uses me up. I've got my.
You
It's
have-
his turn.
I know, and Joe has been on policy before, so
Yeah.
it's not like he's coming in with no, yeah. Yeah,
True
love
that.
that.
All right. So that's one person on policy. Who else, you said you wanted to stay on policy?
Yeah.
Lisa?
If that works for
And I'm
everybody.
happy to if people will still have me.
Rebecca, okay. So that fills policy.
I'll do negotiations and wellness.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, I'll do
Negotiations.
negotiations as well.
Heather on negotiations. We're still missing 2 more on wellness and 1 more on negotiations, and we haven't filled in.
Kate would probably like wellness.
Yeah,
all
for
right.
sure.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
So Lisa and Rebecca, you've only got 1 each,
I'm happy to stay on wellness as well. It was my first.
which would put, Lisa, you on negotiations.
I don't know, I will be on negotiations, but I have policy and wellness.
Yep.
Oh, you
Um,
put yourself in wellness, okay.
Yeah,
Oh, I missed that.
so I'm usually.
Oh, we
on-
need you on wellness.
I'm usually on wellness.
So Kate will go
Let's,
on,
Kate
will do
Kate will do
negotiations.
negotiations.
Yeah,
It's probably
she's
work
fine.
better for her schedule anyways.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
that's what
don't
was- yeah.
imagine our negotiations committee is going to be very busy
I don't
this
know
year.
how much we have this year.
Yeah,
so-
no, it's all this year,
Yeah.
so.
Okay.
So that's 3, 3, 3, 3, good, and that's
So
2,
who's-
2, 2.
you've
Oh,
got
no,
Lisa,
no, I've got
Rebecca.
too many on, hang on, I've got too many for Kate and not enough for Rebecca. Where'd you say?
Well,
have
I'm
it.
on med policy and wellness.
Wellness.
Policy and wellness, okay.
Do you want me to read what I wrote? I think I was paying
Yeah.
attention.
The only one with.
All right, facilities and finance is who?
Heather.
This is,
Heather,
Lisa.
Finance is Joe, Heather, and Kate.
Yep.
And
Yep.
negotiations
Ne-
is.
Ed Policy is Joe, Lisa, Rebecca.
Yeah,
Negotiations, Heather, Jen, Kate.
yeah.
Wellness, Jen, Rebecca, Lisa.
Oh, Jen, right, okay, that's what I was missing. Yay.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
okay,
Yes,
so-
yes, yes.
Okay, good, okay. In that case, it's time to vote. So may I have a motion, please, with regard to F and F?
I move to elect the Finance and Facilities Committee.
Second,
Heather, okay, all in favor? Presume there was no discussion? Thank you, that's 5-0. Motion, please, around ed policy.
I move to elect the Education Policy Committee.
second?
Okay, Jen? Comments or questions? I should have said that before. All in favor? 5-0, that's good. Motion, please, around negotiations.
I move to elect the negotiations committee.
Second,
Heather, all in favor? That's 5-0. And finally, the Wellness SEL.
I move to elect the Wellness SEL Committee.
Second.
Good, all in favor? That's 5-0, thank you, good. We have our committees for the coming year. This is the time of year when I ask, or the chair asks, that the board members have another look at our bylaws, and if you see anything that looks amiss and want to propose changes, bring that to our next meeting on July 30th.
Okay.
Okay, very good, thank you. Third, just to reiterate our summer board meeting dates, July 30th at 7 PM. We will have a workshop at 5:30 to kick off our board self-evaluation process, which is something we've been talking about for some time.
Yes.
Okay? And then, as of right now, we have August 13th for the second summer board meeting. That also will be at 7 o'clock. We will tentatively have a workshop with the Rollinsford folks at 6 PM. I have reached out to Michael, and I'm awaiting a response.
He CC'd me on that.
Yeah, okay. And if that doesn't happen, then we will probably do a goal-setting workshop for the district in place, in that place. And if it does happen, we'll move the goal-setting workshop to the first meeting in September.
Okay.
All good?
Yep.
Okay, very good, thank you. Now is the time for, since it's post-election, for all of us to look at our bios on the website and
Right.
decide what updates need to be made, if any. And the Freedom of Access Act, it's a good time for us all. I think you're supposed to because you just got reelected, but we should all just look at it. The training is very simple.
Yep.
It's a matter of simply just reading the FAQs on the main state
Is that an
website.
annual thing for all of us? It is annual.
It's good practice.
Okay.
I feel like I remember doing it.
Yeah, it's good practice.
And that we can, I know it was shared in a public place at some point, so it was like easy access, but you can also Google it, correct?
Yes.
Sure,
Like, for-
Yeah.
sure.
And
yeah.
we also have Freedom of Information Act, part of our administrator, like annual mandatory trainings, and we usually get a video from Drummond, and if we do have one, I can always share the link. with
Okay.
you
Oh,
guys,
that would
too.
be
Excellent,
Yeah.
It's usually
excellent.
like a
Yeah.
15 or
You just need
20
to say
minute.
that you
Yeah.
did it.
Perfect,
Yeah.
that would be
Yeah.
fabulous, I love.
How would you guys feel about, on our bios, updating, like, who's on what committee? Like, just at the end of our
Yes.
Oh, that's a good
bio?
idea.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
saying,
Yeah.
yes.
That's a great
what
idea.
So
committee.
just to
That's a good
integrate
idea.
it into the bio.
Or just like
at the
if,
end.
Rebecca, if you could add, are you doing, updating, should we email you if we have any updates?
I think Carrie updates it, but you can send it to
Okay, maybe just like, you know, Heather's on this, this, and this committee, or whatever. Okay, perfect.
And then the last thing on my part of the agenda is the MSBA Delegate Assembly is taking place in October. It's the Saturday before the annual conference up in Augusta. I have in the past served as our board's delegate to the Delegate Assembly, but we've done so informally. So I would ask that the board state its intention to have me be the delegate, perhaps in the form of a motion to elect me to the delegate
Yeah.
position, if
Yeah.
someone wants to do that.
For sure. Should we do that now, or should we wait till the next meeting where it's like official, or does it matter?
I think we can do it now.
I move to, I nominate? What do we do?
Elect.
I nominate, or,
I nominate Jill Long to be our delegate to the MSBA Delegate
Assembly.
Assembly.
Excellent.
A second.
All in favor? Thank you.
Thank
That's
you,
fine.
Joe.
Good.
That's awesome, thank you. We're so lucky to have you.
Yes,
So
lots of
involved
joy,
at the
yes.
state level, it's amazing.
Yep.
Thank you. That brings us to the report of the superintendent.
Okay, so, the first item on my report tonight is the district budget referendum report. So the good news is we have a budget. I think everybody probably saw that everything passed by about a 65 to 35% margin. So in the town of Elliott, the budget passed 737 yes to 346 no's. In the town of South Berwick, it was 346 yays.
That can't be right.
That's not right.
That's not right.
That's definitely not right. I think it,
172 yeas, 340 nays.
there you go. What was it? 500?
572
572, that number was incorrect. Okay.
340 nays.
Yep.
oh, okay, I was looking at that. I
So the
Yeah.
total, if you do the math, that actually works, was
Yes,
1309 in favor and 686 against. And then the other question on the budget was around the referendum process and whether or not we would maintain the two-part process. And the communities in both towns voted to maintain the two-part process, the district budget meeting and the referendum vote, by 1566 in favor of maintaining that to 394 against. So that will persist. The other thing, I don't know if now is the right time to say it, but Rebecca got reelected to a three-year term
Yes, we did.
and was sworn in yesterday.
Yesterday.
Yay.
So that's great news about the election. The next thing on my agenda is to step over to the microphone and give you guys an update on the science review that we did this year, but I need to set up, so I apologize, it's gonna take me just a second. David, should I send you the presentation, or what's the easiest way to do it?
I'm streaming.
You're streaming, okay, so I'll use my computer, I didn't know the best way to do it. Is it a Chromecast or?
Should be cool.
I can Chromecast, that's probably. Rich Luciano sends his regrets. He was planning to be here, but then he stopped me today at Day to Day and told me that he has a youth baseball
Okay.
game tonight. So.
That's quick.
Would it help to dim the lights a bit? Can we do that?
We can.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, much better.
So as you guys probably remember, we reviewed the curriculum area of science this year. We did pretty much a full year review process. And I utilized a series of Thursdays primarily to meet with teams. We met as a K to 5 team and a 6 through 12 team.
So I'm gonna kind of take you through our process, who was involved, and then later on in the meeting, there's a motion for an adoption of a new curriculum for the elementary, so we'll get there. Okay? So this is just a reminder of our cycle, so that's our, kind of our 4-year curriculum cycle. We try to review a curriculum area every school year. 2024-25 we did science, next year social studies is on the docket. Just so you know, there's also some conversation at the elementary level about combining social studies and writing and having us take a hard look at writing as well, because that's been an area of concern for a while among the elementary teachers and really wanting to get everybody on the same page with that. So we might hear about writing and social studies next year, we'll see.
Good idea.
So at the K to 5 level, I kind of, it'll be a little bit repetitive because some of the work was the same, so I'll try to skip over some of that. But we had a really nice crew involved. We had a grade level rep from each of the 2 primary schools and 2 from each of the 4th and 5th grade teams. And we met, I think we probably met maybe 8 to 10 times throughout the course of the year and engaged in a whole series of activities. So basically, one of the things we did was we started out by taking a really close look at the released items from the main science assessment, which is the 5th grade test. And that was a fascinating process at both levels. I think that was probably one of the most impactful for the teachers, was to really get their eyes on what kids had to be able to do to be successful on that assessment. It really gave them a lot of insight into little tweaks that they might need to make to their instruction that would better prepare kids to approach a test like that. We talked about what was working well and what they thought needed to be improved, from the teacher's perspective. We looked at ed reports. We explored these 4 programs that these 3 programs across the top. We kind of looked at a 4th one, but then we ended up not liking it. So we looked at mystery science, we looked at Amplify science and PhD science. Amplify was the best, that was the only one that was really all green, positively reviewed in ed reports. If all we had to teach was science, it would have been great. It was not going to be a good fit for the amount of time and space that we had available for it. So teachers piloted units from all 3 programs. They tried out lessons, they tried out assessments. We had presentations from Amplify and from PhD Science. We had reps come in and talk to us about the different aspects of the program. We also, this was an interesting thing that we did, we also revisited our standards, which had been a couple of years since we pulled the science standards and really dug into them. And that was a fascinating conversation, particularly with the elementary crew, because I had them rate themselves. I had them, unpack the standards and then give themselves like a 0 to 5. How well do you currently feel like your grade level is teaching this standard? And that was hard for them, but it was an interesting process. We shared a lot of resources, and then we actually had somebody from the Department of Ed come down and do some Next Gen Science PD for us at our March 14th day, so that was great. So that's kind of a whole bunch of what we did. When we looked at the assessment items, I'll say just a few more things about that. I don't need to read you this whole list, but the big ideas were the assessment's very literacy based. Kids have got to be able to have the skill and stamina to read a significant passage of informational text. The assessment is also very data focused, so the kids might get a graph, a chart, a series of diagrams, and there's going to be multiple questions that are going to tie back to that data set, and they're going to have to interact with it in different ways. So that experience of having sort of a phenomena of some sort, whether it's a data set, whether it's a passage that they read, and then having to go back and think about and interact with that in different ways, that was one of the things that the teachers at all levels took away as we could do more of this, and that would help our students. The other thing we talked a lot about at all levels was content was the least important thing. It was mostly about the skills. When it came to the assessment, there were very few items that were like discrete pieces of content that were either taught or not taught. It was more like, oh, you might get a big long passage about algal blooms. And maybe you didn't teach algal blooms specifically, but the information you needed was there,
Yep.
right? If you could think scientifically, analyze, work with data, interpret a diagram, you could figure out how to approach the question. So
Yeah.
that was interesting, and I think, especially for the middle school and high school teachers, to just that reinforcement that like the scientific thinking and skills are almost more important than the content
Yes.
when it
Yes.
comes to how kids are being assessed and what they maybe are going to take away with them when
Yep.
they leave. What else? There were some test design things that are unfamiliar to kids, like there's no partial credit, right? You either get it or you don't get it, which a lot of times when we give assessments, we'll give them a couple points maybe,
Yeah.
but not, so that was a little bit different. Yeah, and then we talked about we're like trying to make our day-to-day curriculum have the opportunity for kids to engage with authentic data sets as much as possible, and we brainstormed and shared resources around where we find those data sets, and so that was a good conversation. That was kind of all levels. So key learnings and recommendations: more data literacy, modeling the classroom tasks after the complexity is observed in the assessment, using phenomena-based teaching. So that concept of phenomena-based teaching is something that's present in the Next Gen standards, and it's basically that we shouldn't be teaching science as sort of these isolated concepts, but like let's look at a phenomena that's happening. Maybe it's a hurricane, maybe it's a, I don't know, that's the first thing that popped into my head, anything. And let's look at that from all the different angles that relate to it scientifically. So it's kind of situated in a relevant thing that kids can connect to. We talked about that. And yeah, so teachers just really getting the opportunity to look at that assessment and think about how it does or doesn't reflect sort of what they do on a daily basis. So we ended up in a place where it's not the place I thought we were going to end up, I'll be honest.
Interesting.
Because
Interesting.
I was anti-mystery science when we started this process. So I'll give you a little bit of background. So we have been using FOSS. We had FOSS kits that we purchased about 10 years ago or so, and FOSS kits are great. They're very hands-on. There's a lot of good depth and breadth of exposure for kids in there. But they can be a lot of work to maintain because there's a lot of stuff in them. And what happened was we were doing a pretty good job with our implementation, and then when COVID hit, we had to pivot. Because there's no big black box that you can pull out and spread out the cotton balls and the, balances for kids, because we're remote. So during COVID, teachers started using mystery science as a way to at least teach some science. And I was not super psyched about it because it's very video driven, and to me there wasn't enough hands-on. But I went into it with an open mind, and I tried to be a good listener, and the teachers were incredibly passionate. And what we learned was that, so what happened is after COVID came back, teachers just kept using mystery science because it was easy, and the kids loved it, super engaging, like videos are really fun, and they're phenomena-based. What we learned when we really dug into it was we found that there's a whole side to mystery science that we weren't aware of. So there's this toggle where you toggle on the anchor phenomena, and it connects all these what seem to be like maybe disparate lessons back to an anchor phenomena. And there's assessments and hands-on activities. So they piloted some, and the student work that was produced was fantastic. And so the best thing about mystery science is it's easy and it's high quality, and right there, bullet number 2, we can teach all units completely in 70 to 80 lessons a year.
Yeah.
that's critical, because at our elementary level, teachers typically platoon social studies and science. They don't have enough time in their day with 90 to 120 minutes of literacy, 90 minutes of math to teach both social studies and science at the same time. So they often will teach a science unit, and then maybe 4 to 6 weeks later, they'll teach a social studies unit. So they do kind of that. So we were shooting for like about 80 lessons a year. That was the target. Like if we could commit to teaching 80 science lessons a year, we would be in great shape. That's what Mystery Science is built for. PhD Science and Amplify Science are built for 160 lessons a year. And there's just no way. The teachers were like, this stuff is good, but it's like, there's no way we would ever get it done. And the rep's response was, well, just teach part of it. I'm like, what? That doesn't seem, like, that doesn't feel right. There are hands-on and STEM-based experiences, and we're really excited about the potential with the new STEM position at Great Work School and how that's going to be able to dovetail really well with this curriculum. And there's great embedded professional development. It's very, very easy to use. So feeling good about that. Kindergarten, as they like to do, wants to do something a little bit different. They're going to still have the Mystery Science resource, but they have actually created their own, the two schools work together beautifully, and they created a handout, which I meant to bring tonight and I didn't remember. But basically, they try to embed as much science as they can in their literacy, because that's appropriate for 5 and 6-year-olds. So a lot of the text choices they use are very science connected, and they've actually mapped it out with their standards and connected it to their literacy touch points. It feels great. Both schools love it, and I think it's really appropriate for kindergarten. And they can certainly use a little bit of Mystery Science as it supports those units. So that is the recommendation from the committee for the K-5 crew. And this is hard to read from where you are, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of background. So these are the units that are part of each grade level. And I'll share this if you want to look at it in a format that you can read. And this is just a little snapshot of a portion of one of the assessments. But one of the things that the teachers really liked about the assessments was how much reading and writing were involved in them. And it really aligns with the conversations we've had around the writing standards, and how the writing standards really shifted a few years ago to a more embedded approach to writing, and that reading and writing especially should be done in the content areas in meaningful ways, not as a standalone thing, but like we write about things, right? So the assessments really reflect that, and the teachers were excited to have access to that. So at the 6-12 level, we did, this is the crew, so this is, it's a little different. I didn't have to get reps because we have science teachers, so all the science teachers were involved. And again, we met on Thursday mornings. Similar process, we looked at those released items, we spent a lot of time talking about those. We did some site visits at the, I forgot to mention that. So one of the things that we did was we looked at some data from some other districts, doing them for high-performing schools, and we started to ask the question, well, what are they doing that they're getting such good results? So we did visit Scarborough, and we visited Greeley. Interestingly enough, we weren't able to visit any elementary schools, but the 3 highest performing elementary schools, when I reached out to their curriculum directors, they're all using Mystery Science. So, okay. Along with other things that we have talked about, like outdoor classroom, greenhouses, gardening projects, like that sort of community-based, connected science alongside the Mystery Science. So that seemed to be the magic sauce, along with socioeconomic status, which is sort of always the magic sauce. When you have a wealthier district, the kids tend to score better. So, yeah, the same kind of conversations. What's working well? What concerns do you have? What things do you think might need to be addressed? We talked about pros and cons of any possible changes. Should we, reorder our courses or anything like that? And there was really no strong feeling that we needed to make big changes at either the middle school or high school level. The scores look pretty good. The system seems to be working. And so I'll get to that recommendations page in a second, but similar work, looked at the standards, shared resources, the PD was a K-12 kind of a PD, so all the same stuff. This is gonna look really similar as well, that those, the released items were really informative for the teachers, and we spent a lot of time talking about those and how they could incorporate that into their day-to-day work with kids. So one of the things that we've spent a lot of time talking about in the last few years, and we also talked about a great deal during the review, is just really wanting to make sure we can support that 8th to 9th grade transition for kids. That freshman science class can be really a challenge, particularly that on-level, general level class, because we teach physics in the freshman year. Even though it's not like a full-on, like a calc-based physics, there is a little bit of math that's involved, some algebra, some solving for different variables that some kids find challenging. And so one of the things we learned is that sort of solving for x or any sort of variable equation is in the 9th grade standard. So we want to make sure that there's good alignment between the algebra curriculum progression and the science curriculum progression. So we're not asking kids to do stuff in science before they've been exposed to it in algebra, right? So what we're gonna do is we have a group that's gonna work for 3 days this summer. It's got freshman science teachers, actually multiple science teachers, algebra teachers, and special educators that are all gonna work together on just really taking a look at this 9th grade course and making sure that it's accessible to our learners that struggle the most, and that we can make it as conceptual as possible, but also meet the 9th grade, those standards. Like, there is math in the standards. We're not running away from the math, but we want to make sure we support it and align it as well as we can. That makes sense. We also talked, one of the things we learned in Scarborough and Greeley was that we needed to think about how to lean into more support structures for kids. So, whether it's building additional opportunities for intervention, supporting students in their attendance, right? These are all things that the teachers in those schools talked about is like, well, why are your science scores so good? Well, we've really been good at getting kids to come to school, and that's the first thing. Or we have this great intervention program where when kids are struggling, they can go to this place and there's a person there that's able to help them. And we have some of that, but I think we can do more. And so that's conversations that the high school started to have. And we just talked about that grading piece. That's in every subject area. That's like a transition thing. Yes, Jen?
Did the Scarborough and Greeley, did they do a similar 9th grade? Do they have a similar situation where the math and the science creates a little bit of, there's a little friction there?
I'm not remembering off the top of my head if their progression is the same as ours. I don't remember.
Okay.
It was winter
okay.
when we did that, so I apologize.
Okay, that's okay.
Yeah.
How long have they been using the program for, did you say? Really, or just out of curiosity?
Oh, so
Okay.
the middle school and high school generally doesn't use a program.
I'm sorry, I was talking about when you went to the Scarborough and
Oh,
really.
that's how long had they been sort
Yeah.
of in that mode? I don't know. I don't even know if we asked that question.
I just was curious. how-
Yeah.
When they had transitioned over to using the, that other science that you.
Well,
In
they're
elementary
so
school.
that's elementary.
Oh.
Is that what you want to talk about? So this is the middle
Probably
school,
not
high
asking.
school, so they're not using
I
a
was- sorry, I
specific
was talking about the
program. The elementary, I don't know. I think, if I'm remembering my conversations with the other curriculum directors from a meeting a few months ago, it was kind of a similar thing to us.
Okay.
Like, during COVID, kind of everybody went that
Mhm.
direction.
Yeah, okay.
And now
Yeah, I was-
everybody's questioning whether that's the right thing or
Mhm.
not. I
I'm a
think-
slide behind, sorry.
It's okay, it's all good, and there's a lot of words, and so I'm sorry about that. So anyway, I'm excited about the summer work. I think having math teachers, science teachers, and special educators all around the same table saying, these are the profiles of kids that struggle, and this is why they struggle, and then having a conversation about how we can create a course that has integrity, but that can also work for those
Yes.
kids is really important. So yeah, these recommendations and learnings are the same. There's no There's no recommendation for any changes at the high school. They're not proposing to change a course sequence or add a course or subtract a course or anything like that. I think most of our conversation was around classroom instruction and alignment.
Mhm.
But it was good. And this kind of captures some of the stuff. There's pros and cons to the schedule. There are different ways to support kids. And so we talked about different ways that we might be able to build in more support. We talked about the bar program, like that's kind of an example of how we have a little more wraparound support for those ninth graders, so that's a win. One thing they did change this year, I think it's on this slide, is they're gonna open up AP Physics access for sophomores, and that will potentially allow kids to take additional AP Science classes, because they were having to double them up.
Yep, that's smart.
So that's kind of a good thing, yeah.
Yep.
And, I think that, I've talked about most of the stuff on this slide, but I think that the third bullet from the bottom was an important takeaway for the team, that, we're thoughtful, capable people. We have excellent science teachers, and they really believe in kids, and they believe it's okay to ask kids to do hard things.
Yeah.
And it is, and part of the reason our scores look the way it is that we have high expectations, and we keep asking kids to do hard things, and they're committed to that, and I have a lot of respect for that.
Yep, that's great.
And those are just some resources that they put together, so I threw them in there, but, yeah. Any other questions?
Heidi, can you just go back 2 slides? Maybe. Ask about just one thing. I know there's always an ongoing conversation, right, on the way that the school day at the high school is organized. And it just seems like the schedule bullets here are very interesting, right?
Yeah.
So these are wonderings, these are reflections, like.
So a lot of these came from those visits to other schools.
Their schools.
They either came from visits to other schools or from musings from people who have been here when we had a different schedule,
Yep.
where we had sort of what I would call a modified block, where we had blocks some of the days and shorter class periods on other days.
Yeah.
So there's waxing philosophical a little bit, like, I don't think there's a perfect schedule
Right.
out there, right? All schedules
Something
have
always
pros and
gives.
cons,
Right.
right? As a science teacher, I loved a block schedule because I knew I had 80 minutes and I could do a lab. Math teachers, world language teachers, they really love seeing their kids every day. There's pros and cons to both. I think what's more important is what happens in those minutes, what the teachers do instructionally, how the kids are engaged, and how they're using the time that they have. You can make arguments, like Scarborough Middle School, there's a 2-day rotation for allied arts, so instead of 2 allied arts at the same time, there's 4 going on. So the kids, maybe if they get pulled out for a math intervention, they're not missing out on band, or, you know what I mean? Like, it's more choices, but a shorter time period. So you're always gaining something and losing something when you make those choices.
Makes sense, makes sense. What do you and the teachers that have been involved in this whole process, don't fix something that's not broken? Is that kind of the?
I think that was the
takeaway?
general
Okay.
takeaway, yeah.
Okay, like it's
I mean-
working, maybe we just tweak maybe what the instructional piece, like you said, and not necessarily blow up the whole school day and reconfigure it because this is what another school's doing. Yeah.
And we continue to see gains.
Yeah,
Especially
right,
in this,
right.
in this building, we just did our day-to-day today, so it's fresh in my mind, but like, even just from last year to this year, gains in math, gains in literacy, like,
That's awesome.
over 80% proficient in both content areas. It's amazing, it's
Mhm.
huge,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
good stuff. So, yeah, like, I think it's, the teachers were really very receptive and interested in that conversation around what can I learn to help me present my students with different things that might help them engage with science in a different way.
Yeah.
or at a deeper level, or prepare them to be more successful on this assessment, but I didn't walk away feeling like anything was broken,
Yeah.
that needed to be fixed. But what I tried to explain to them, because it was interesting at the beginning, I think they thought that I thought that something was broken,
Right,
and that's why we were
right.
doing this.
Yeah.
And I had to keep saying to them, we should just be having these conversations every 4 to 5 years.
Anyway.
Anyway, even
Yes.
if we don't change
Regardless.
anything, to pause
100%.
and look at
Reflect.
data
Yeah.
and have these collaborative conversations is going to make us better.
So much is changing.
Yeah.
Too. You know, when I think of science, you know, that's where AI lives. And so, my God, what can happen, what has happened in just this last year, what is going to happen is going to be exponential. So like, being ready for that and proactive, right, in terms of like how are we going to address that? Hopefully Mystery Science will be keeping up, and then therefore that will trickle over. Are there like a regular, yes, every 5 years, totally perfect, that's great, but like at this point with the strides that are being made, is particularly in the science realm of learning, are we thinking like maybe that could be adjusted or should be adjusted, or what would be the parameters for that, or the
Well,
deciding factors around that?
I feel like it's moving so fast.
I
It's
know.
really hard to keep up with, and this is just me talking. I'm
Yeah.
one person, but one of the things I will say is that Rob Scully put together a team at the high school this year with himself and a bunch of teachers that were interested, and they did an AI course, like
Yeah.
this little study group.
Yeah.
And they've really become the thought leaders in this building on
Awesome.
AI and its potential and potential pitfalls, you know, all
Yeah.
the concerns as well. And I think that's the key for all teachers, but specifically I think for science teachers as things change is we've got to invest in professional development and give teachers the opportunity
Yeah.
to go and learn and see different ways of doing things.
Mhm.
It's in my mind, it's not different than the work we've done over the last several years with our school counselors and
Yeah.
taking them to ASCA,
Exactly.
getting them exposed to what's going on the national stage.
Yes.
And I think we should start to think about, okay, well, maybe science is next. Maybe we get our science teachers out there and take them to NSTA or whatever, you know, and just really give them the opportunity to have that exposure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What does co-teaching look like at the high school and middle school level?
So co-teaching is what we're doing. It's one of the ways that we're trying to support our special education students in the regular classroom. So typically co-teaching looks like a special ed teacher and a regular content area teacher teaching the class together.
Okay.
And we're currently doing it in math and ELA classrooms at Great Works and at the middle school. One of the things that happened this year was we sent a group of teachers up to Morse High School to take a look at they have I think John talked about it with you guys a little bit. They have like almost like a unified
Yes,
academics
yes,
kind of a program.
yes.
So Brett went and Meg Murtha and Andrew Elwell, and they've started to have conversations about how we can do that here. So I
Yes.
think we're talking about maybe starting with an ELA class first and then trying to get a science or a health class going
Mm-hmm.
after we see how that goes. So, but the idea is just, you know, the special education expert who understands how to do a really good job with if curriculum needs to be modified and how to meet those IEP goals. And then the content area specialist who can provide that expertise in the content area as opposed to, you know, if I'm teaching in a resource setting and I'm being expected to teach
Right.
Yeah.
whatever, that
Yeah.
isn't, like, I feel like our special ed teachers work so incredibly
Oh my
hard
gosh.
to try to do everything. And so I think it supports them.
Yeah.
And it's a great resource for the kids to have two adults in the classroom. I mean, I've been in to observe some of our co-teaching settings, and the teachers are doing a fantastic job. It's seamless. Like you wouldn't know if you didn't know the teachers, which teacher was the special ed teacher and which teacher was the math teacher,
Mm-hmm.
So cool.
which is very
Awesome. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
Rebecca, do you mind just get the lights just a little? Thank you.
Can't see now.
My old lady vision. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right,
Now I gotta get back in this
Yeah.
mindset.
Yes.
Switch
gears.
Okay, so, I wanted to talk a little bit about a pre-K idea that I ran by Joe and Jen. And this is, an idea that actually came from a couple of staff members, but it kind of aligns with some things we've been talking about. What we'd like to do, and I ran this by the QEA, and the principals have talked about it and met with the pre-K team. We would like to try a one-year pilot of an opportunity for children of Marshwood staff. So if I'm a Marshwood staff member and I have a student in pre-K, I would have the option on a space available only basis of paying tuition for the second half of the day, and my pre-K student being able to stay for both sessions. It would do a couple things. It would be a nice benefit for staff, just in terms of
Yeah.
the challenges of finding
Right.
childcare. But it would also allow us to have a small case study of how do kids do
Yeah,
with a
good.
full-day pre-K situation.
Yes.
And we don't think it would be very many people, like maybe 2 or 3 people might take us up on it.
Oh.
It's not a big number.
Tiny
Yeah,
amount.
tiny amount. But it would give us just a toe dip into trying it out. And so you'll see a motion for that as well. But yeah, questions?
I love this idea of the pilot program and putting the toe in the water idea. I don't know that it's fair to just have the teachers in the district's kids. Like, how, should there be a lottery? Should it be some kind of, like, what, and how many students would the max be? How
So-
would that work?
Right.
Just from an equity
Yeah,
standpoint,
no,
just
there's,
from, like, yeah.
there's all sorts of great questions about it. And we had talked about this idea on a larger scale a few months ago around, what if we offered the option for parents to sort of buy into the full day?
Yeah.
But it felt like it could present an equity issue because
Yeah,
not
right,
every
because
family
not
would be able to
everyone
afford
would,
it.
right.
That's,
And
The other piece.
yeah, that's.
the way that we're looking at this is, if we have pre-K classes of 12 or 13 and we add a couple of students, it's not going to cause us to have to hire any additional staff, right? If we opened up a lottery, I don't know, we could, I suppose, but we were really just looking at this as a way to try something out in a really small, controlled way for staff.
Yeah.
And see what we learned, and we could revisit it after a year and see how, will the kids tolerate being there all day?
Yeah.
Does it create
Seems like a long
logistical
day.
issues that we weren't foreseeing? I don't know. So that's
Yeah.
the idea, and if you guys don't like it, that's okay too, but
I think-
I said I would bring it to you.
So it's potentially just probably like maybe 2 or 3 students, right?
Small.
A small group, they would be paying tuition. So I see that that's fine. I think, my only concern is the impact on local businesses, like Little Buddies and some other childcare opportunities, because that bit of money might help them run their show or whatever. But 2 or 3 isn't going to really impact the businesses very much. So best to try it, maybe.
And a lot of those
There's
places
this-
actually have the business.
Well, that's the other thing, the number of
So we have a
conversations
limited-
Yes.
I've had with
limited-
staff who can't find
Find
childcare.
anywhere, yeah.
Or at least not close.
Right,
If
or
you
they,
travel so far to get it.
or they put their name on a list before they even were pregnant, and
Yeah.
it's like it's
So this could be, from the QEA's perspective, kind of still paid, but it's a benefit in some ways for some staff members.
just
A perk, sort of.
Just a little perk for
Perk.
staff, and
Yeah.
Yeah, which is not a bad thing.
Right.
I mean, when you think of places like Timberland, you know, and Stratham,
Mm-hmm.
they have it built in.
Mm-hmm.
They have their pre-K right there on site, like it's there, it's built in, it's what they do, and it's one of the things that goes with the territory.
Mhm.
When
Right.
you're an employee there.
Yeah.
Nobody else is allowed, it's just employees' kids.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's
Yeah.
definitely like a different,
Yeah.
interesting, so just for the 1 year?
Well, I mean, I
pre-K year?
think just for the 1 year,
Yeah.
I mean, once you get past pre-K, we have a full day
Right.
program
That's
anyway.
right. Yeah, yeah.
But
But,
just
you
to
know-
evaluate and see, is this something, yes. that
I
we
mean, I
wanna
just
keep
feel
up
like
with,
we're-
Or are we moving toward full day anyways,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
eventually?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, could you come back to us if it's more than 2 or 3?
Yeah, of
Like,
course.
yeah, and
Yeah.
then let's have the discussion again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it turns out to be that, because then I think we're talking a little something different,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah, and I don't even know if the staff members will want to pay the
Right.
tuition. I mean, I think we figured it out, it's like $6,100 for to buy sort of the halftime tuition. So
Yep.
that may not be any
Feasible.
less than what they're already paying.
Right,
for that other-
exactly.
You know,
Right.
I
Yeah,
don't
that's
know.
what I'm thinking.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But if there's a couple staff members that want to take us up on it, it might help them out, give us a chance to learn a few things, and,
I'd be curious what that, so I'm just thinking logistically, sorry, that's where my brain goes, but like, okay, so, there's usually like a little bit of a break, right, in between, so what
Yep.
happens to the break?
that was my big question as
Okay.
well.
Yeah.
So that's why I asked Mrs. Schisler and Mrs. Deeren to meet with the pre-K team and talk
Nap
that
time or
through.
something.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Well,
nap
so,
Oversee nap time.
Nap time, I know.
there's not really nap time anymore. but
Quiet time.
They have
Right.
some quiet
Quiet
time,
time.
so lunch would happen, recess would happen, and then there would be a quiet time. And because we have, the way we staff our pre-K with both teachers and a teacher and an
Yeah,
ed
the ed
tech,
tech
they
could
they
be.
felt like coverage of that would not be a problem. So I expected
they
that
would
to be a
figure it out,
barrier,
but I
but they
just-
did not think it was.
So space isn't available, coverage isn't available, and the quiet, I like this idea of quiet time, I just feel like pre-K is
They
it's
need
a
that.
long flipping day, it's a long day for kindergartners.
Yeah, mine always took a
Never
nap.
mind, you know, pre-Kers without an opportunity to close their eyes for a few minutes, so, yeah, mats or whatever, you know, like, I'm sure that investment would not be a whole lot for just a few mats and pillows, but,
Yeah, and we don't, like I said, I don't know.
Yeah.
It could be one, it could be
I know, right?
three, I don't know.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
it's more than three, I'll let you know.
Yeah,
Like,
okay.
I know two staff members that have sort of asked,
Okay,
would this
so
be
that's
possible?
two
So
right
that kind of
there.
got us exploring, but we didn't even know how much it would cost at that point. So like,
Right,
I've shared, I said, I shared that I was gonna talk to you guys about it, and I would let them know.
so for this coming year, we're not foreseeing, because we don't know, because we never know who's coming in for pre-K
Correct.
students. That's the trick.
There may not be space.
There may not be
There
space.
might not
Right.
be, right, so
And-
it's.
Right.
Right, so we would treat it just like we treat our out-of-district
Yep.
pre-K
Yeah.
Oh,
students,
okay,
right? We would
yes,
only take
yeah,
them
same-
on a
Same thing.
case available.
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay, so we would be, right, so and then these children would have that space within, say, the afternoon over someone from out of district, in terms of
I
priority.
suppose. I don't
Well,
anticipate, space available, and I don't anticipate
That's even,
it's gonna be as much of an issue because York has opened a full-day pre-K, Kittery has opened a pre-K, and Berwick has opened a pre-K.
full
They're
day.
full day, everybody's doing full day.
Mhm.
And so this is part of the conversation around
Oh,
full-day
my
pre-K that we
Yep.
can get into at a
Yes.
later date, but
Yeah.
like,
Okay.
we've always been kind of at the forefront of pre-K, we've had
Yes,
universal
we
pre-K
were
for
the
so long.
first
Yeah.
ones.
But the new programs that are coming out are almost exclusively full-day programs, so now we're in a different place.
Yeah, so why not test it?
We're behind.
A lot, well, kind of, I mean, a lot of the programs that have been open, like say SAD 60s, they're starting a program in the fall, but they're just doing 2 classrooms in each town, so it's a lottery. They don't have space for everybody.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's a
Ooh.
trade-off, right?
And I
Like-
think last time we talked about full day, we didn't, as a board, didn't want to do a lottery. And so then it was
No.
sort of like,
No, 'cause
okay, then
that would not be
we're not
fair.
there yet.
Because our
Yes.
community
That would need, so not
expects
there.
pre-K,
Yes.
we've done it for so long.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Can
Yeah,
I,
that- I remember that.
There's a motion for this?
There is.
Okay, so I just would want to just sort of throw out there, if we throw out an arbitrary number, I would hate for us to say we want to revisit it if it's 3 and then have 3 and now we're telling 4 that they can't do it. So do we want to come up with an actual number, or do you want an actual number, or? Like, does that mean my sense is if you then put an email out, or the QEA puts an email out to everybody and says, hey, we're offering this option, you might get more than the 2 that have approached you that might
Maybe.
look at it. I don't know.
When they find
Are
out the
we-
price.
Are
Are
we,
you saying we wait-
I guess,
wait a
are we
little bit?
like pigeonholing you if we give you a number of 3 or no?
Well-
Okay.
Would it be fair to consider 3 in each of the 2 primary schools? No,
I
you know
think
what I
3
mean? Like,
seems like a
I don't-
very
I don't
conservative
think-
number.
I
Yeah.
don't
It
think
seems
there will be more
arbitrary
than
to
that.
me.
When I
Right.
spoke to
Yeah.
Nina, she was not aware of anybody, but that doesn't
Right.
mean there isn't
Right.
somebody out
Right.
there.
Right.
And I think Elliot had 2 that were
Yeah.
potentially interested,
Yeah,
maybe.
it's 2 schools.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're talking about their own school, their own, yeah.
But there could be other staff members that maybe,
Who knows?
Yeah.
maybe I teach at the middle school, but I have a
Right.
pre-K or
Yeah,
and it
well,
would
Right.
help
that's
me,
what
right?
I-
Right.
yeah,
So,
the
yeah,
bigger
you're right,
schools,
it
yeah.
could get bigger. But I'm willing to do whatever you guys think is best.
Okay, just throwing that out there, that if we say 3, does that then preclude number 4 or no?
Or
No.
else we come back and
Okay.
talk about it and talk about
was
what we
gonna
have for
say,
space
maybe-
available.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
space
Find out a little bit
available.
more
I-
first.
Yeah.
I would want to put it on the agenda of an early fall meeting.
Sure.
Once we've implemented this, just to see where it stands, how we did.
So we're not talking about this coming school year?
No, we are,
Oh, we
So
are?
you
Yeah.
can't do
but we could check in and see. I mean, I would let you guys know if it looked like it's gonna be.
Well, yeah, well,
I-
you 2 meet with
It will be.
her anyway, like,
Mhm.
so.
We can't wait until early fall.
No, could we, even for the
For what?
next board meeting?
But you're
Just
saying if
kinda
there's
get it
more
some
than,
sort of
3 each
more
school.
than 3
We
at
could
each
check
school?
Yeah, she'll
Yeah.
just
In
mention
July?
it, yeah.
Yeah,
text
why
Want
don't
to
it.
do that? You want to check
Find
it at
out
the next board
and
meeting?
check in at the
Sure.
next board
See what
meeting.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
have for-
There we go.
For information?
There we go,
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
good
It's
plan.
That's a good idea.
Information gathering and then a check-in in a month.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
That's a great idea.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
I mean, it's very interesting.
Yeah,
I
it is.
Mhm.
And to know that all of our surrounding
Yeah, I
school
didn't know
districts
that. It's
have
coming.
full-day pre-K, I'm like, well, I know that it's coming down the pike. We don't have space, so that's a whole nother conversation that
Mhm,
we
mhm.
really need to dive into regardless.
Mhm.
So this could be, like you said, total water, let's just see. Yeah, okay. Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Heidi.
Thank you.
I don't have anything else.
That
Let's go on.
concludes your report.
That is.
Excellent, thank you. Correspondence, we have received an official notification from the town of Elliott that our very own Rebecca Barker has been reelected and will serve on our board for next year.
Congrats,
Thanks.
Good.
thank goodness.
Report of the committees. FNF met earlier this evening. I'll do a quick review of the numbers, and Heather, you'll do the rest of the stuff. Awesome. This is from the end of the month of May, so through the end of May. The dashboard looked very good. The general cash balance was very healthy at just over $2 million. That is a very good position to be in ending May, because June is a very intensive month where we do payouts for retirements and things like that. So that was a good place to land. Looking at the budget divided by 12, we should have 8.33% of our revenue expenditure target left. We actually have about 11.9% of the budget remaining for expenditures and 10.77 on revenue. So everything looks to be in good shape. Adult education is actually running a bit of a surplus and may finish the year with a surplus. We typically spend down to 0. There may be a little bit of money moving forward into next year. For adult education, school nutrition, we have the numbers through April, and it's tracking well. Federal grants continue to come in faster than they used to because of the changes that were made at the central office, and that is all looking very good as well. I think that's all I have to say about the numbers.
Okie dokie. So in terms of facility updates, the new storage building at the central school has arrived. It's been placed near the Dunkin' Donuts side, near the module. The module, which is like a classroom space, is being renovated by our director of facilities. We're very lucky. We have a director of facilities that knows how to do a lot of things. So this is great. So it's going to be beautified. And then the gym floor at the Great Works School did have some of that water damage. So half of the gym floor will be replaced due to the water damage. But that, so we're looking into that insurance and confirming that, so that hopefully will be done this summer, or it will be done this summer. There's a leak at the Great Works School in a classroom that also needs tending to, so that's a big ticket situation. We're gonna need to do some sealants and some French drainage outside. The parking lot will be paved over at the Marshwood High School back lots. No, the front lot, and then the back lot, just filling in the cracks and paving and painting the lines. Sealing at the Marshwood High School track and restriping, especially near the front 100, 200 yard area. New copier lease has been approved, will be approved at this meeting. Those have arrived and ready to go. The new technology lease will be approved at this meeting, and then the money to fund the balance will also, I forgot what was said about that. Do you remember? Do you remember what was said?
Right, that was just moving money into the fund balance. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Didn't take notes on that part. Transportation update, 2 new drivers have passed their exams. We're anticipating 2 to 3 bus drivers will move on in the next several weeks due to retirement, resignations, etc. The new miniature lease, the activity van, to be approved actually at this meeting as well. In terms of food service update, the numbers all for this year look great. Like was 80% eating lunch, which is wonderful. And then leadership is working on the food service application next week for the federal grant paperwork. So that will be tidied up soon.
There was one other thing that I forgot to add. I should have talked about this when I talked about the numbers, because this relates to the question of having a good cash balance in May going into June, and that is that the revenue anticipation note that we took out last year to cover the 3 payroll months and such came due and was repaid in June. So that was another pretty good hit, that it helps to have that cash balance available. Ryan is projecting that we will likely need to apply for another revenue anticipation note this year, again, to get us over the 3 payroll month pumps. Probably be talking about that at our August meeting. Just heads up. Okay, that concludes F&F. Education policy will next meet at the end of September, and Wellness SEL will next meet at the beginning of September, with all of our fresh new committee members appointed. Okay, that concludes the reports of the committee and brings us to a metric ton of new business. Let's start right in. May I have a motion, please, with regard to the declaration of votes?
Do I say voted?
Yes, I think you do.
Voted that the computation and declaration of votes dated June 18th, 2025, attached hereto be approved.
Second, Lisa?
Lisa? Any comments or questions? All in favor? That's 5-0. Motion, please, with regard to the computation declaration of votes entering into the record.
Further vote, go ahead.
Further voted that the computation and declaration of votes be entered upon the records of Maine School Administrative District number 35.
Second, Rebecca.
Comments or questions? All in favor? Okay, that's 5-0, thank you. And further, please, a motion regarding a certified copy of said computation and declaration.
Further voted that a certified copy of the computation and declaration of votes be sent to each of the municipal clerks of the member municipalities within Maine State Administrative District number 35.
Second, Heather.
Heather, thank you. Comments, questions? All in favor? That's 5-0, thank you. Okay, motion please to allow the transfer of funds from one cost center to another. This is something we do every year.
I move to allow the superintendent to transfer funds up to 5% from one cost center to another.
Second. Jen?
Okay, comments or questions? I should have waited to say now, this is something we do every year?
Yes.
Okay. Any further comments? No? All in favor? That's 5-0, thank you. Okay, now we're into nominations. Motion please with regard to nomination of Lynn Eisner.
I move to approve the nomination of Lynn Eisner, first-year probationary teacher, 6th grade science, Marshwood Middle School, year 2025-26, masters 19, for $91,700.
Second, Rebecca?
Rebecca?
So Lynn is going to be teaching 6th grade science at Marshwood Middle School. She comes to us with a bachelor's of science and her major was elementary education from Orono and a master's in instructional technology from San Jose State in California. Previously, she was an 8th grade science teacher in California and a 7th grade math teacher. She was also, more recently, that was when she lived in California, and then more recently, she has been a 5th grade math and science teacher at Dover Middle School. So we are very excited to have Lynn join us.
Very good.
Yeah, this is good stuff.
Comments or questions? All in favor? 5-0. Welcome, Lynn. Thank you.
And just a clarification, I'm just looking here, which just for the folks at home, we do have a schedule for salaries based on number of years' experience, degrees had, and all of that, and that is exactly what she is being paid. Smart.
May I have a motion, please, with regard to the nomination of Samuel Morrison?
I move to approve the nomination of Samuel Morrison, first-year probationary teacher, art, Marshwood Middle School, school year 2025 to 2026, bachelor's 5, $54,841.
Second, Heather?
Heather, thank you.
Marshwood Great Works. Marshwood Great Works School.
Marshwood,
Sorry, what did I say? You
Middle.
want me to re-say it?
Marshwood Great Works.
Yeah.
Let me say it again. I move to approve the nomination of Samuel Morrison, first-year probationary teacher, art, Marshwood Great Works School, school year 2025 to 26, bachelor's 5, $55,841.
Second, Heather.
So, Sam Morrison, we're very excited that he is the candidate for the art teacher position at Marshwood Great Works School. Sam has a bachelor's of art in art education from Orono, and he did a fantastic job as a long-term sub for us this year at Great Works School in the art classroom, and really, he brings just so much unique experience. He taught art for several years up in Ellsworth, Maine, and then in the interim, he did some traveling around the country. I really enjoyed chatting with him. He's super excited to be at Great Works, excited to work with 4th and 5th graders, and really use art as a way to bring the community together.
I love all of his experience. I mean, he was years and years as a counselor and then co-director of the Southbrook Recreation Department. So he is very, if you've ever been to those summer camps, you know. A big deal. That's so cool.
Yes, very excited.
Any further comments or questions? All in favor? It's 5-0, thank you. Motion, please, with regard to the nomination of Jennifer Moore.
I move to approve the nomination of Jennifer Moore, first-year probationary teacher, kindergarten, Elliott Elementary School, school year 2025-2026, master's 19, $91,700.
Second, Lisa?
Lisa?
So Jennifer is the candidate for the kindergarten teacher at Elliott Elementary School. She has a bachelor's in behavioral science and Spanish from Drew University. She has a Spanish bilingual certification. She has a master's in early childhood education from UMass Boston. And she's currently teaching in a Spanish immersion first grade in Massachusetts. She's got some just really interesting experience, not only the bilingual, but also she's a lot of experience with outdoor education. So the team at Elliott was just thrilled to meet her and thinks that she's really going to be a wonderful addition to their staff.
Comments or questions? All in favor? 5-0, thank you. Motion, please, with regard to the nomination of Elizabeth Terrio.
I move to approve the nomination of Elizabeth Terrio, first-year probationary teacher, STEAM, Marshwood Great Works School, school year 2025 to 2026, bachelor's 14, $69,371.
Second, Heather.
Thank you.
So Elizabeth is the candidate for the STEAM teacher at Great Works School. She comes to us with a bachelor's in general science and elementary ed from Keene State College. And she's got some really rich experience. We weren't sure what our candidate pool was going to be like for this position. It's a new position for us, and it's a combination of STEAM teacher and technology integration. And she's been a STEM teacher in Dover at the elementary level, and she also has a background in outdoor education. For the last 2 years, she's been working at the Village Nest Cooperative in Elliott, doing an outdoor education preschool for 3 to 5 year olds. So she's very enthusiastic and excited, and just really excited to join the Great Works team. And I mentioned her earlier when I met with her. We talked about, the first thing she said was, I want to work with the teachers, I want to support their science instruction and make sure that what I do aligns with what they are trying to do in the classroom.
Oh, nice.
So,
That's very cool.
Yep.
Questions, comments? All in favor? It's 5-0, thank you. Motion, please, with regard to the nomination of Anthony Bourbon.
I move to approve the nomination of Anthony Bourbon, Assistant Principal, 1 year only, Marshwood High School, July 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2026, $119,135.
Second, Lisa?
Lisa, thank you.
So I do not have Tony's resume in
No.
front of me, but he
We all
is
know
a known
Tony.
entity to us.
Yes, indeed.
But this is, I definitely appreciate his patience, and we went through the proper process and posted and did all the things we had to do appropriately, and Tony is the candidate that we would like for the one position.
That's amazing, and thank you, Tony, for sticking it out with us for another year. Yeah.
Are there
Great
comments or
stuff.
questions?
Mm-mm.
All in favor? Okay, that's 5-0, thank you. Okay, motion, please, with regard approval of the pre-K pilot for children at Marshwood.
Are we gonna
Children
wait?
of Marshwood, excuse me, I'm sorry. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I move to approve the pre-K pilot for children of Marshwood staff.
Second.
Heather, very good. Okay, any further comments or questions? Okay, all in favor? Okay, that's 5-0.
Check back in.
And we'll get an
Yeah.
update.
Yeah, check back. That's-
Yeah, we'll get an update in late July and then another one in August. Motion, please, with regard to the adoption of the mystery science curriculum.
I move to approve the adoption of the mystery science curriculum for kindergarten through grade 5.
Second.
Heather, very good. Okay, thank you for the presentation.
Yes, it was
Yeah,
great.
No,
really
no
It's
further
exciting.
questions, I don't think. Anybody
No.
further comments?
And that will be provided to the public along with the minutes of this meeting? How does
Sure.
that work?
Usually
Just
Terry
like
posts
with,
PowerPoint.
like, any PowerPoints that go with the meeting on the website or with the minutes of the meeting?
And the PowerPoint also has links too, if people
Right.
want to
Oh,
go
good.
see the
Dive
Mystery
in.
Science website, dive in and play around with it.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
It's exciting.
Okay, all in favor? 5-0, thank you. Okay, we're into reads. May I have a motion, please, with regard to the second reading of AC?
I move to approve the second reading and adoption of policy AC, non-discrimination, equal opportunity, and affirmative action.
A second, Lisa?
Lisa, thank you. No changes from the first read. Any other comments or questions? All in favor? It's 5-0, thank you. Motion, please, with regard to the second read on ACAA.
I move to approve the second reading and adoption of policy ACAA, harassment and sexual harassment of students.
Second, Rebecca.
Good, thank you. Again, no changes since first read. Comments or questions? All in favor? That's 5-0, thank you. Motion, please, with regard to the second read of ACAA-R.
Move to approve the second reading and adoption of policy ACAA-R, student discrimination, harassment, and Title IX sexual harassment complaint procedures.
Second.
Heather, thank you. This is the complaint procedure for the preceding policy, no changes. All in favor? That's 5-0, thank you. Motion please with regard to the second read of ACAB.
I move to approve the second reading and adoption of policy ACAB, harassment and sexual harassment of school employees.
Second, Heather.
Heather, thank you. Second read, no changes since last time. Comments or questions? All in favor? Thank you, that's 5-0. Motion please with regard to the second read of ACAB-R.
I move to approve the second reading and adoption of policy ACAB-R, employee discrimination, harassment, and Title IX sexual harassment complaint procedures.
Second, Heather.
Heather, thank you. This is the complaint procedure. No changes since last time. Comments or questions? All in favor? That's 5-0. Thank you. Motion please with regard to the second read of JJIF.
I move to approve the second reading and adoption of policy JJIF, management of concussion and other head injuries.
Second, Heather.
Heather, thank you. Same, second read, no changes. Comments or questions? All in favor? That's 5-0. Thank you. Motion please with regard to the second read of JJIF-E.
I move to approve the second reading and adoption of policy JJIF-E, Marshwood Concussion Protocol.
Second, Rebecca.
Rebecca, thank you.
So if you notice on your sheet, Rebecca highlighted, she didn't realize when we did the first read that there was some changed language. Is that correct, Becky? Okay.
Yeah.
So she just wanted to highlight it so you knew that this was the language. I believe, Lisa, you worked on this, right?
But it's the same language as
Yeah.
the first read,
Mhm.
just highlighted now.
Is that
Okay.
true, Rebecca?
Oh,
That is not true.
no.
The one that we did the first read on was the one from, I think they're 2 months ago.
Oh.
This is the up,
This is the updated version that
Okay.
matches the actual policy.
Policy.
Yeah.
Let's take
Okay.
a second with it
Yeah,
then.
let's
Take
just
a
read
minute
it
and
real
read it.
quick, 'cause, yeah. And just to be clear, Rebecca, this was reviewed also by Rich and the trainer. Okay, that's, yeah.
Everybody gotten through it?
Yeah, that looks good to me.
Comments or questions? All in favor? Okay, that's 5-0. Very good. Motion please with regard to the second read of IMG.
I move to approve the second reading and adoption of policy IMG, animals in school.
Second, Heather.
Heather, thank you. Okay, second read, no changes. Comments or questions? All in favor? That's 5-0, very good, thank you. Motion please with regard to IMGA.
I move to approve the second reading and adoption of policy IMGA, service animals in schools. It should be schools on the motion. Just add an S at the end.
Oh, yeah.
Second.
You second the motion as read.
As read.
Yes,
Second as read.
very good. Comments or questions? This is, again, second read with no changes. All in favor? That's 5-0, thank you. Motion please with regard to rescinding ACAC.
I move to rescind policy ACAC, service animals in schools.
Second, Heather.
Heather, thank you. And just to be clear, this is because we've just passed a new policy with
Correct.
regard to service animals in schools. So this is rescinding the old one.
Different code.
Yep.
Oh, right.
Any comments or questions? None. All in favor? That's 5-0. ACAC is gone. Motion, please, with regard to rescinding ACAA-R1.
I move to rescind policy ACAA-R1, student discrimination and harassment complaint procedure.
Second, Heather?
Heather, thank you. Now, this is because we've just passed a new complaint procedure
Right,
with a
so,
different code.
no.
Oh, it's the same code.
Same code. This is because when we reviewed the Title IX policies and updated them a year or so ago, we split our complaint procedure into two, one that followed the Maine State sexual harassment and harassment guidelines, and one that was aligned to the Title IX, so that it would be easier to follow depending on which path we were going down. The newest recommendation is that we go back to the 2020 Title IX version, and that is that we don't separate them, that we have it all be in one policy. So we're basically undoing what we did a year ago when we split these out.
Okay.
Because there was federal changes.
Because there was changes at the federal
Yeah.
level to go back to
The
the 2020
policy,
Title IX.
basically, yes.
ACAA policies. And the lawyers just suggested that we not stray from
Yeah.
the recommended
Yep.
version.
Correct.
Sounds like a
Their recommendation, which we are
sage advice.
definitely wanting to follow.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, any comments or questions? All in favor? That's 5-0. And it looks like we're doing the same thing for two more, so motion
Three
please to
more,
rescind
maybe.
ACAA-R2.
I move to rescind policy ACAA-R2, student sex discrimination harassment complaint procedure.
Second, Rebecca?
Rebecca, thank you. And you've just given us the explanation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Comments or
Thank you.
questions?
Thank you.
All in favor? That's 5-0. And a motion please to rescind ACAB-R1.
I move to rescind policy ACAB-R1, employee discrimination and harassment complaint procedure.
Second, Lisa.
Thank you. This is the same thing? Questions or comments? All in favor? That's 5-0. And then a motion please with regard to the rescinding of ACAB-R2.
I move to rescind policy ACAB-R2, employee sex discrimination harassment complaint procedure.
Second, Heather?
Heather, thank you. Questions or comments? All in favor? Okay, that's 5-0 as well. Yet another page of new business. Okay, so that concludes the policy stuff. May I have a motion, please, with regard to the lease purchase of a new minibus?
I move that the resolution entitled Resolution to Authorize Lease Purchase of a New Minibus in the principal amount of $103,480 be adopted in form presented to this meeting.
Second?
Heather, thank you. And the form presented to this meeting includes this information that's in your packet? Any comments or questions about that? We've discussed this on a number of occasions leading up to
Yes,
tonight,
yes,
so.
we have.
Okay, all in favor? That's 5-0, thank you. Move, please, motion, please, to authorize lease purchase of copier equipment.
I move that the resolution entitled Resolution to Authorize Lease Purchase of Copier Equipment in the principal amount of $198,480.26 be adopted in form presented to this meeting.
I'll second, Lisa.
Lisa, thank you.
Can I,
Yes.
the number on the forms that we have
Ooh,
is 198-84026.
Yes, it
Oh.
is.
Oh, yes.
Good
This is-
catch.
Yeah, there's
wow, Jen.
two digits
Never, that's
transposed,
just
nice
random,
catch.
Wow.
Wow. Zoned in.
random.
The
So I
840
think we
So
need to
undo that.
vote this down.
Is the
Reread
motion
it?
correct, or is the form correct? I assume the
I
form
think
is
the
correct.
form
I
is
believe the form
correct.
is
The
probably
motion is
correct.
incorrect.
Yeah,
Okay. So what do we do with that?
vote it down,
Vote it down and then
We can.
do another one, or just adjust it?
or just,
Or, yeah, just
We
just
have a
repropose
second.
it, yeah, just
As
repropose
read,
it, yep,
yeah.
yep.
So how do you do that?
I approve, or I second as read.
Should we maybe reread it?
Reread
it?
yeah.
Want me to just read it as is?
Oh,
Okay. Where are we here? I move that the resolution entitled Resolution to Authorize Lease Purchase of Copier Equipment in the principal amount of $198,480.
no,
20
no, 100.
You want me to read it as this is?
From the sheet, this is the
From the
correct
sheet,
amount.
okay, okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
This is the
sorry,
correct
sorry.
number, yes?
Yes.
This
Yes.
number,
Yeah.
that's right, yeah.
Gotcha. I move that the resolution entitled Resolution to Authorize Lease purchase of copier equipment in the principal amount of $198,840.26 be adopted in form presented to this meeting.
As
As
read.
It's red, I guess we have to put
As
as
read.
read somewhere in there. I'll second as read.
Very good.
Is that good enough?
Okay, so we have the right amount. This is, okay, any questions about the copier equipment?
It is what it is.
It is. All in favor? It's 5-0. Is it possible that this is our last item of new business tonight? Have a motion, please, with regard to the lease purchase of IT technology equipment.
I move that the resolution entitled Resolution to Authorize Lease Purchase of IT Technology Equipment in the principal amount of $65,000 be adopted in form presented to this meeting.
Second, Heather?
Yeah, very good. Okay,
Just double check that amount.
I
Is it
know, right?
correct?
Yeah.
It is.
That correct.
65, yes.
this is, I think we discussed this previous meeting, right? This is,
Yeah.
this
Yes, we
is
did.
the laptops for staff?
Yeah,
or-
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, laptop staff
Okay.
refresh.
Comments or questions? All in favor? Okay, 5-0. We don't do building administrator check-in during the summer, do we? We let them not be here. All right, that concludes new business and the regular part of our meeting. I will entertain a motion, please, to enter into executive session.
I move to enter into an executive session for the purpose of discussion of personnel issue pursuant to Title I MRSA subsection 4056A.
Second, Rebecca?
Rebecca, thank you. All in favor? That's 5-0, and we are in executive session. We'll